I'm incredibly proud, as are millions of Americans.
No. Not today, Hegseth. Yes or no?
Congressman, you know what a silly question that is.
But silly enough to warrant a very straightforward answer. Yes or no?
We all support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
You know what?
Proud
I'm not going to waste my time anymore. You're not worthy of my attention or my questions. You're an embarrassment to this country. You're unfit to lead. And there's been bipartisan members of Congress that have called for your resignation. You should just get the hell out and let somebody competently lead this department.
A congressional hearing quickly turned into a tense showdown when Congressman Salud Carbajal demanded yes or no answers from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, and Hegseth wasn't giving them. From the deployment of Marines in Los Angeles to the controversial signal messages, Ukraine, NATO, and political loyalty, Carbajal accused the Defense Secretary of avoiding accountability and eventually called him an embarrassment. Let's break down what happened, separate the facts from the political attacks, and look at who made the stronger case. Before we get started, like the video, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments.
I recognize the gentleman from California, Mr. Carbajal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It shouldn't come as no surprise that I have serious concerns with both the deployment of the National Guard and the Marines to Los Angeles. I served in the Marine Corps. We are trained to be war fighters, not for crowd control. Everyone here should be alarmed that the President has sent armed forces into a city against the wishes of a governor and mayor. I am concerned this administration is purposely escalating the situation with this step and politicizing our armed forces in the process. Let's call it for what it is. It's political theater. Hegseth, are the Marines in Los Angeles ordered to protect property by any means necessary?
Sir, I would say the ICE officers and police officers being attacked is not political theater. The National Guard and Marines,
just yes or no. Just yes or no.
The National Guard and Marines have the full authority to protect federal ICE agents.
Yes or no.
Can
you just say yes or no? This isn't Fox anymore. Just yes or no.
They're there to protect federal agents and federal.
Another BS answer. Under the SRUF, the use of force, are Marines allowed to fire warning shots?
No.
Now that's more like it. Isn't that easy? Well, I'm going to beat this drum because you refuse to take responsibility. Will you take responsibility for having made a mistake? Not to mention many people would say break the law in participating in the Signal group chat that included a journalist, your wife, your brother, where classified information was shared.
Sir, every way I communicate is authorized. Every way I communicate.
Okay, if you want to say that. I have called for your resignation. I didn't think you were qualified before your confirmation, and you have done nothing to inspire confidence in your ability to lead competently. You broke the law in sharing classified information, and in doing so, endangered the lives of our service members that you are responsible for. Your inability to hold yourself accountable makes you incapable to lead. This alone makes you unfit to be the Secretary of Defense. Secretary, do you think the United States should continue supporting Ukraine in its fight against Russia, a nation that is hostile towards the United States?
Well, as you know, sir, President Trump is committed to peace.
No, I just want yes or no answers.
Today, the United States has spent billions of dollars.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
Over years.
Just yes or no. Can I get a yes or no out of you?
We continue to send.
Come on.
Presidential drawdown.
It's that easy. Kindergartners could give me a yes or no. Yes or no.
Yes, we support peace in Ukraine.
Come on. Is this really leadership? You're an embarrassment to the United States. If Russia invades NATO allies, are you going to recommend to the president that we fulfill our Article 5 obligations?
Well, Russia has not invaded NATO allies.
No.
President Trump.
No. I reclaim my time. Yes or no? It's that simple.
There's Article 5 in NATO, which we recognize.
So is the answer yes or no?
That's what Article 5 is, yes.
Good. I'm glad you brought yourself to saying yes. Do you think political allegiance to Trump is a requirement for serving our nation, either in uniform or a civilian in the department?
I'm incredibly proud, as are millions of Americans.
No. Not today, Hegseth. Yes or no?
Congressman, you know what a silly question that is.
But silly enough
fidelity
to
the
warrant a
Constitution.
very straightforward answer. Yes or no?
We all support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
You know what?
We're proud to serve
I'm not going to
President
waste
Trump.
my time anymore. You're not worthy of my attention or my questions. You're an embarrassment to this country. You're unfit to lead. And there's been bipartisan members of Congress that have called for your resignation. You should just get the hell out and let somebody competently lead this department.
Mr. Chairman, do we not have any decorum in here?
Thank you very much. I yield my time.
Gentleman yields back. And I would urge everybody to remember and maintain a decorum suitable for this chamber.
Congressman
Further
Salud Carbajal came
comments.
into this exchange with a clear strategy. Ask short questions and force Secretary Pete Hegseth to give direct answers. The first issue was the deployment of National Guard troops and Marines to Los Angeles, which Carbajal strongly opposed. Carbajal argued that Marines are trained as warfighters, not as a domestic crowd control force, and he questioned whether sending armed military personnel into a city against the wishes of local and state leaders was an appropriate use of military power. That is a serious question, and it deserves serious scrutiny. The United States has long-standing legal restrictions governing the military's role in domestic law enforcement, but there is an important distinction that should not get lost in the political rhetoric. Saying the deployment was controversial does not by itself prove that it was illegal. The legality depends on the authority being used, the orders given to the troops, and the specific circumstances. Carbajal calling it political theater was his political judgment, not an established legal conclusion. Hegseth then tried to explain that the troops had authority to protect federal personnel and federal buildings. Carbajal wasn't interested in a lengthy explanation. He wanted a yes or no answer. And this is where Carbajal had a legitimate criticism. When a witness is asked a narrowly defined question, repeatedly giving a broader answer can come across as evasive. Hegseth eventually answered a separate question about whether Marines could fire warning shots. No. Carbajal immediately pointed out that a direct answer really was possible. But there's another side to this. Military rules of engagement are complicated, and whether troops can use force depends on their mission, orders, and circumstances. So demanding simple answers can be effective politically, but it doesn't always provide viewers with the complete picture. The exchange then became much more serious when Carbajal brought up the signal controversy. He accused Hegseth of breaking the law by participating in a group chat where sensitive military information was discussed and a journalist was accidentally included. This is where we have to be very careful with the language. Carbajal's concern about operational security was legitimate. The signal controversy raised serious questions about how sensitive military information was being communicated and who had access to it. But saying Hegseth broke the law is a much stronger claim than saying his actions raised security or policy concerns. Hegseth disputed the allegation and maintained that his communications were authorized, and later oversight is important here. The Defense Department's Inspector General investigated Hegseth's reported use of signal for official business, specifically examining compliance with department policies, classification requirements, and records rules. So Carbajal was right to press Hegseth on the issue, but viewers should distinguish between a serious security controversy and a proven criminal violation. Those are not automatically the same thing. The questioning then moved to Ukraine, where Carbajal again demanded a simple yes or no answer about continued U.S. support. Hegseth initially talked about President Trump's commitment to peace instead of directly answering the question. Carbajal kept pressing until Hegseth eventually said the United States supports peace in Ukraine. Here, Hegseth could have been much clearer. If the question can be answered directly, avoiding the answer only creates more frustration and gives the questioner an advantage. But Carbajal's approach also had limitations. Foreign policy isn't always reducible to one word. Supporting Ukraine can mean military assistance, weapons, intelligence, diplomatic support, financial assistance, or some combination of those. So the better answer would have been to give the direct response first and then explain the administration's position. The NATO exchange followed the same pattern. Carbajal asked whether the United States would fulfill its Article 5 obligations if Russia attacked a NATO ally. Hegseth initially pointed out that Russia had not invaded a NATO ally. That's true, but it wasn't the question. Carbajal was asking about the hypothetical situation. Eventually, Hegseth acknowledged Article 5 and answered yes. So on that particular exchange, Carbajal succeeded in getting the direct answer he wanted. Then came the most politically charged question of the entire confrontation: whether political allegiance to President Trump is required to serve in the military or the Defense Department. That's a legitimate question in principle, because members of the U.S. military swear an oath to support and defend the Constitution. Political loyalty to an individual president is a very different concept from constitutional duty. Hegseth eventually pointed back to supporting and defending the Constitution, but once again, he didn't immediately give the simple yes or no answer Carbajal was demanding. That allowed Carbajal to portray the response as evasive, but Carbajal also changed the character of the hearing when he repeatedly called Hegseth an embarrassment and demanded his resignation. Strong congressional oversight can be aggressive, but personal attacks don't necessarily make the underlying argument stronger. So, who came out on top? Carbajal was effective when he forced Hegseth to clarify specific positions and when he raised legitimate questions about military authority, operational security, Ukraine, NATO, and constitutional loyalty. Hegseth, however, hurt himself by repeatedly failing to answer straightforward questions directly. In a hearing like this, even when there is a legitimate reason for adding context, refusing to give a clear answer can make an official look evasive. At the same time, Carbajal weakened his own case by presenting some disputed allegations as settled facts and allowing the questioning to become increasingly personal. And that's really the bigger lesson from this confrontation. Congressional hearings are supposed to test decisions, establish facts, and hold officials accountable. They are not supposed to be competitions over who can produce the most viral soundbite. There were legitimate questions on that stage. But the most important issue isn't who delivered the strongest insult. It's whether the American public received clear answers about military authority, national security, foreign policy, and constitutional responsibility. That's where the real accountability should begin. If you found this breakdown useful, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more political commentary that goes beyond the headline. And tell us in the comments, did Carbajal get the answers he was looking for, or did Hegseth have a point about the need for more context? Keep the discussion respectful, and we'll see you in the next one.